What is up, guys? Welcome back to another creator review. This is the first one I've done in a long time, so we're just going to kick it off and go straight to the big leagues with Eclipse. Don't really know that much about this guy. Not at all. I don't know anything. This is going to be a completely blind reaction. And yeah, we're just going to get right into it. His views are really great. They're incredible. They're groundbreaking. I think this is more viewed and enjoyed than the Quran. But yeah, let's. What is this one? This Roblox roguelike is actually really good. Okay. Yeah, sure. Eclipse. Let's take a look.
Nights. This is a game that was requested by Suba on my Discord, so shoutouts to them for suggesting this game. Now, this video is gonna be a little bit of a departure from my normal reviews, as I didn't really to be buying ammo constantly, then you won't have enough money for these things. So again, it just ends up making you slower as you get a higher level, just like any other game. Weldons and robots and all this crap, if it's never...
You are now watching clips.
What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're going to be revisiting my creator review series. I've left this series a bit dead for quite a bit now, since the end of spring of this year. And no, I haven't run out of ideas. I'm not completely bankrupt yet. I just thought I would like to revisit a series I kind of enjoyed making. Now, I'm going to be making some changes to these. I'm definitely going to revise a few things, and I'm going to list those things here so that you guys, if you ever want to suggest anything, you guys can do that, but you just got to follow these, otherwise I'm just not going to do it. So these are my rules and regulations for a creator review. Number one, they must have at least 1,000 subs. You know, I saw a lot of people like suggest to me like some random fucking people, I have no idea who they are, and they just made somebody mad in comp and they wanted me to shit talk them for like a good 10 minutes. I'm not going to do that. It's not worth my time. Number two is that they must have at least like 20 to 30 videos, of which must have like some kind of substance and not be like 30-second memes that got like 100,000 views because they're shitty memes. So, you know, if it's like an account that like sub-botted to 1,000, but they have like one video of like 30 seconds of them jerking off, then they don't qualify. They must average at least 1,000 to 3,000 per video, so like closer to mine at least. Obviously, view count does not equate to like the quality, but if there's not like an active community backing these videos up, I just don't really see a point to reviewing them, because at that point it's just basically a shout out and not a review. And number four, they must be an established creator with their own brand and not repost other types of memes and whatnot. So essentially, just going back, they have to make their own shit and not just like repost a Discord meme that they found. And also, I'm just gonna tack this on real quick too. No YouTubers that only do shorts, because I'm not reviewing a TikToker. Come on. So yeah, that's it for the regulations. If you want to suggest someone down below and they meet the criteria, then feel free to do that. I'll probably look at it and I might do one later on. And now let's go over the new format that I'm going to be making for these types of videos now. Now, for longtime viewers of the channel, you may remember me like reacting to the newest video and then the oldest video or the most popular video or whatever the fuck. I'm not going to do that anymore. Instead, I'm going to split this video up into 5 segments, which of course would be originality, editing, humor, personality, effort, and then just the overall ranking at the end. So I'm going to be categorizing him fairly based on my opinion and not on my personal bias against him, because I don't like him very much. As with any review on the internet, however, take this with a grain of salt. Most of this will be based on my own feelings and opinions and my own personal experiences with content creation, so do with that what you will. Without further ado, let's get right into this. The Eclipse YouTube channel was made on April 26th of 2013, with his first video revolving around a clip of Battlefield 1. Since the beginning of his channel, Eclipse has always been fascinated with first-person shooter games, particularly Tarkov and Battlefield. He would continue to post videos surrounding Tarkov until February of 2021, where he would upload his first YBA video, The World Over Heaven is Broken. At the time of recording, this video would have 294,000 views, infinitely surpassing all of his previous videos. And to be honest, it's kind of hilarious hilarious to see this change in subject because it's just like, who the fuck would think of this? Like, how do you go from uploading Tarkov videos to uploading on some random Roblox game? And while he does sound like he's whispering and kind of awkward throughout the entire video, I can't exactly say that this is a terrible video by any means. And I cannot lie to you, it did work. He got to 1,000 subs in less than a month. Like any sane person would, Eclipse took advantage of this gold mine and reached his way to 20,000 subs by the end of March. At this point, he had basically given up on Tarkov, and any other video he would make that wasn't YBA related was met with little to no fanfare, which is completely understandable. I mean, these videos would literally rack up hundreds of thousands of views, and it's honestly quite impressive because, I mean, most channels would usually take years to get to this point, but for him it was only a matter of months. And honestly, the fact that YBA was the jackpot for him is kind of astonishing to me, considering there were basically no other creators surrounding YBA at this point in time. And to be honest, I don't think a lot of people would have started playing the game unless he'd made these videos, or even made content for that matter, because at this point in time when he started getting huge, a lot of other YBA channels started to get huge too. They were of course like worse quality, but you get what I mean. And I mean, honestly, when you think of YBA YouTube as a whole, the first thing you're gonna think of is Eclipse. He is the icon. He started this whole thing essentially. He is basically the figurehead of all YBA culture up till this point. But was it really deserved? I mean, I don't know. Not really, but we'll dive further into that later. Eclipse's views would fluctuate up and down as he switched from content, and it really seemed like he was dealing with burnout considering he kind of hated YBA at this point. And while his frustration was understandable, I don't really think he needed to tell me this every other video. And from this dry spell up until now, his views have never really been the same. He hasn't frequently uploaded YBA as much, and he has instead moved on to this new game called That Crazy Adventure, which is, I'm not going to talk about it. And that's basically where he is at this point. I mean, he hasn't really been in any controversy so far. He's had a pretty clean slate so far, which is pretty surprising to see. But honestly, at this point in time, it's kind of hard to take him seriously at all. I mean, basically, he's just like a running lolcow at this point. Because, I mean, like, what the fuck are these thumbnails? And honestly, as a whole, I think a lot of his content is just like lazy. Or not lazy, I really should be saying uninspired. He's just never really moved on from his format of just like turning on the mic and then talking about whatever for like 10 minutes. And so yeah, let's just get right into the specifics of what I think about his channel as a whole. Now, it's important to keep in mind that not every channel starts out filled to the brim with originality. Every new channel starts out fitting into a certain niche like gaming or humor or some shitty Discord meme they found. But as the creator's channel progresses, it is important to make sure that it does keep its own original aspects. If anything, the best move you can do while maintaining a channel is to use a completely popular and unoriginal aspect and adding your own original aspects to it. Since the beginning of Eclipse's YBA arc, I think it's fair to say that a lot of his concepts have been original at times. However, any of his gaming videos could honestly be replaced by a bigger YouTuber who is more entertaining with more of a personality and isn't just a cardboard box on the screen playing a Roblox game. But honestly, most of these original concepts don't really pay off unless it pertains to a Roblox game. But a lot of his subscribers did not exactly subscribe for shooting games, they really subscribed for Roblox, and honestly, that's the only thing he can really market off of. The time for a content switch up is a bit overdue, and it's probably not going to work at this point considering how much effort he put into YBA in the first place. But it's honestly not to say that any of his videos really do bad either, they're just not the same. I mean, he could go on screen and complain about it all he wants, but realistically, he's not doing too terribly statistically. Tarkov isn't exactly a very popular game. I mean, the biggest creator gets 60 to 80,000 views per video. And when he was popping off at the time, he would get about 20 to 30,000 views, which isn't that bad. He wants to have this impossible precedent where his videos do just as well as YBA ones, which is just not going to happen because a lot of his other topics aren't as popular as YBA, or with his subscribers for that matter. His Eyes of Heaven videos were getting views, his Titan Warfare videos were getting views, but due to this mindset of just, well, none of my other videos are doing well, so I guess I'll just stick to Roblox, is just kind of killing it even further. Because those videos do get views, it's just not enough for his ego. And honestly, I just don't want to watch any of his newer videos. It's just become a revolving cycle of this game sucks, or this game is good, or this stand sucks, or TCA sucks, or something about TCA, and it's just so boring. His thumbnails have basically remained the same for months now, and it's not appealing enough or interesting enough for me to click on it. I mean, this is literally baby's basics of making YouTube thumbnails, and they're essentially just like an image with text on it, with an image of him with an over-exaggerated facial expression. Definitely not like every YouTuber does that now. So while every once in a while he'll throw out a good idea, it's just not it for me. For originality, I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10 as it stands right now. And yeah, let's move on to... Now let me preface this by saying not every channel needs an amazing amount of editing to have their videos be good, but good video editing is essential to making a good video. Without it, you might be unable to capture the attention of your audience for a long enough period of time, and it essentially just makes your format completely boring. And while eclipse doesn't necessarily boast his editing prowess in his videos for the time were not necessarily too boring. It's acceptable for a newer channel to start out with subpar editing, but once it does reach a certain mark, you have to think about investing in better software, better technology, and better editing equipment. And while Eclipse has invested some of that money into a newer camera or a green screen, these things are basically unimportant in the long run. I mean, I doubt anyone was pointing out in the comments, wow, Eclipse got a better camera or a new green screen. And as a whole, the videos could honestly live without it. Eclipse has some basic interchangeable properties of his videos that he rarely goes without. Number 1, his camera to project his face. Number 2, his green screen. Number 3, background footage. And then the occasional image or meme or whatever the fuck he wants to put on screen. And this is pretty sustainable for a little bit. For anything to have success or grow, it has to have change, like big change, not like little minute changes that nobody cares about. And I think that's the main part of where his videos fail. They're just not captivating enough. And I'm not saying that because I have the fucking attention span of a demented goldfish. I'm saying that because it's just genuinely fucking boring to look at. And at this point, why would I spend my time watching you when I could go watch somebody bigger and more popular with better techniques and editing and whatnot? And he's been doing this for about 2 to 3 years now, so you would think that he'd, you know, upgrade it a little bit, like do something a little bit more interesting, something different for once, but he just hasn't. And for that, I think that's the reason why a lot of his longtime viewers don't stick around for that long, because it's just the same thing over and over and over again, and nobody wants to watch the same thing over and over again, so they just leave. And there's really not an excuse for this. I'm not going to assume he doesn't have a life. I'm sure he loves twirling sticks around to tubas, but with his upload schedule being as frequent as it is, I really don't see a reason why he shouldn't upgrade to like Adobe or something else that costs a little bit more money. That doesn't mean DaVinci Resolve is necessarily bad, but DaVinci is essentially what both him and I use, and I think I'm doing a little bit better with what I have. There's just not that much effort being put into it, and if you don't put effort into your content, no one else is going to put the effort into watching it. So for editing as it stands right now, I'm going to put that at a 4 out of 10. Now, before you go down in the comments and start writing some shit like, well, humor is actually subjective, clicks, so this argument doesn't make any sense, I would like to once again remind you that this is my opinion. If you like self-deprecating millennial jokes, you can laugh at those all you want. I'm not gonna make fun of you. I'm just gonna keep this short and sweet right now and just straight out say it. Eclipse is not funny. Does every channel need to be funny to be good? No. I like plenty of non-funny channels. So is this really even a bad thing? Kinda, but at the end of the day, if you ask somebody what their opinion is on Eclipse, they're definitely like 99.9% not gonna say, oh, he's really funny. Like, that's just not gonna come out of my mouth. I think he can be funny sometimes, but a lot of the time it just doesn't really land for me. A lot of the times he's just unintentionally hilarious, like with these stupid fucking thumbnails, dude. Please fix the thumbnails. I can't take this anymore. I'm not saying that every YouTuber has to splice in some meme in the middle of it because they're using a TTS and they can't articulate anything humor-wise. And any humor they do have is just like some fucking skibbity toilet meme that gets the autistic 11-year-olds to go like, oh my god, is that the cat Rizzler? That's like the thing I saw on my For You page. Because I think that's even less funny, and thankfully Eclipse doesn't do that, so I'll give him that. But I think a lot of his humor could just be boiled down to that of, like, I don't know, fucking self-deprecating millennial joke, or a cutoff, or I can't think of anything else. So I'll just end this segment with this clip here.
Okay. Here's the build. I know. I'm sorry. I forgot at the beginning. I mean, this is the beginning. This is the beginning of the video. Yeah.
Wasn't that hilarious?
I think it's pretty important to have a personality, especially when it comes to the troves of channels that are competing with you to keep people occupied with yourself. And when it comes to Eclipse, I think his advantage was that he was occupying an environment that wasn't exactly being occupied by anybody else. I think the fact that he was making content in such a niche space basically just filled in the gap for people. Because other than that, when he plays different games, nobody goes to him for that. They go to the YBA stuff. I feel like that's pretty indicative of him as a personality. You could say he's pretty analytical and kind of smart when it comes to the technicalities of games. But then again, why would you go to him for anything other than YBA? It's kind of impossible to see him as anything other than YBA's mascot now, and it's kind of completely his fault. I honestly think if he would have kept making attempts to branch out instead of like putting one out and then as soon as it fails he just goes, oh well, I'm just gonna go back to YBA. He basically set himself up to fail. And now he's just basically the YBA lolcow that everyone makes fun of. There's just genuinely nothing that really distinguishes him from other people. Unless you want to count playing tic-tac-toe on his forehead. Plus his entire demeanor and mannerisms kind of just set him up to be the butt of every joke. And let's be honest here, nobody with a third of a brain cell takes him seriously. I mean, people will literally take advantage of the fact that he has 200,000 subs, and it will still fail because nobody cares. He is genuinely the only YouTuber I can say that about. I think the fact that he constantly makes videos on a game that barely manages to reach over 100 players is pretty indicative of how impactful he is now. And I think the fact that he wasted his time making these videos instead of making actually like good videos is pretty hilarious. And at the end of the day, realistically, who are you gonna watch? Are you gonna watch somebody bigger, somebody better, somebody with, I don't know, more defined personality, or are you gonna watch Eclipse? Because personally, I think you'd be hard pressed to find anybody saying Eclipse is my favorite YouTuber. And I'm not trying to talk shit here, I'm not trying to be mean, I'm not trying to offend him, I'm just saying, I'm not seeing what I used to see in him. So what do I think of Eclipse as a whole? Do I think he's a good YouTuber? Do I think he's mediocre? Do I think he's bad, dare I say? And honestly, at the end of the day, I don't think he's terrible, but he's definitely not the greatest. I wouldn't say he's even bad or good. I think he's just like in the middle. He just kind of exists on the spectrum. He no longer has any really original ideas, nor does he exude any good editing or even a great personality. And honestly, past the green screen, there is nothing there. Like, you can't find anything. It is honestly the extent of his character. His videos are boring, his thumbnails are atrocious, and there's really nothing else to it. He's not doing terrible right now by any means, so this certainly isn't a rise and fall video, but he's definitely not doing as well as he used to, and it is most certainly his fault. And like I've said earlier, there's really not a reason to pick him over, I don't know, anybody else. So I'm going to conclude this with my final ranking of 5 out of 10. I haven't done one of these in a while, but I'd like to thank you guys for the support. Like, I don't think you guys understand, like, how much this actually, like, means to me. And so I just want to thank you guys again. To the normal people, not the weird people that comment shit like, can you do the thug shaker? Or DM me some stupid shit like, I want to stretch out your urethra. Please stop. Please interact with all the links in the description. Check the document out. Like and subscribe. And see ya.
Danger.